রমজানের মাঝে আসছে আর বনি মেহমান যে রমজানত নাজেল গজ্জে আল্লাহ কোরআন বাইয়ান আল্লাহ কোরআন রমজানের মাঝে আসছে আর বনি মেহমান যে রমজানত নাজেল গজ্জে আল্লাহ কোরআন বাইয়ান আল্লাহ কোরআন अल्लाह पाक हबीबर मेरा शरीफ अड्डाई रोजारे फरस गोरिल निजर उम्मतल्लाई अल्लाह पाक हबीबर मेरा शरीफ अड्डाई रोजारे फरस गोरिल निजर उम्मतल्लाई যে রোজা বনিব একদিন হাশরের সামান যে রমজানত নাজেল গজ্জে আল্লাহ কোরআন বাইয়ান আল্লাহ কোরআন রমজানের মাঝে আসে আর বনি মেহমান যে রমজানত নাজেল গজ্জে আল্লাহ কোরআন বাইয়ান আল্লাহ কোরআন যে রোজারে আরারু ফরদিয়ে ফরজ গরি আল্লাহ নিজের হাতরে নাম পাইম যদি রোজা রাখি যে রোজারে আরারু ফরদিয়ে ফরজ গরি আল্লাহ নিজের হাতরে নাম পাইম যদি রোজা রাখি যে রোজাদারের ইন্তজারত রয়ে হুরে গিলমান যে রমজানত নাজেল গজ্জে আল্লাহ কোরআন বাইয়ান আল্লাহ কোরআন রমজানের মাঝে আসে
Assalamu alaikum and welcome everyone to this annual very special Rohingya Ramadan program on Salam Media. It's myself, Shabnam Mayet from Protect the Rohingya, who will be your host for this afternoon. We played in with a Tarana in Rohingya about the month of Ramadan, and Taranas are basically Rohingya music and poetry which contain Rohingya memory, longing for homeland and a longing for justice and more about Rohingya culture. We have a jam-packed program today for you, and we're going to be speaking to Rohingya voices across the world. So please do stay with us. We're also on Twitter and on Facebook Live. And right now we're going to start off with a voice note from the camp. We're listening to Rohingya photographer Muhammad Jamal, who lives in Kutupalong, who's just going to tell us a little bit about Ramadan in the camp. And because we love to have everyone live, but because of network issues in the camp, and obviously because of the time difference with iftar and stuff like that, we're going to listen to his voice note that he pre-recorded for us. So let's listen to Muhammad Jamal.
Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
We seem to be having a technical difficulty getting that one. So we're going to speak to Muhammad Noor, who we have live. Muhammad Noor is joining us. He's an author. He's also one of the founders of Rohingya Vision, the Rohingya TV station. And today he's speaking to us as someone from the team of the Rohingya Quran. So Muhammad Noor, welcome to the show. We spoke to you a few years ago when it was just getting started. Your whole project was getting started. So why don't you tell the guests where the project is now?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ramadan Kareem, Ramadan Mubarak to all the listeners and to you especially, sister. Thank you very much for hosting me here in this special episode, special in Ramadan, and especially in the last days of Ramadan, which is the Mubarak day. So number of projects that we have been working on. One of them is Rohingya Quran translation project. So in the Rohingya Quran, so we have started in 2012. In the beginning, of course, as I mentioned a couple of episodes before, but it was not successful during 2012 and 13. But then we restarted in 2021. So
Mhm.
in 2021, we have started the first phase of the Quran project, which is translating the Rohingya Quran into Rohingya language in audio and video format. So Alhamdulillah, in 2000, early 2023, we have managed to finish that audio, and it is all available in rohingyaquran.com and also our YouTube channel. So entire Quran, entire 114 surah is Alhamdulillah there. Now we have embarked on a second journey, which is the second phase, which is translating the Rohingya Quran into Rohingya script in Rohingya language, which is a noble journey, Alhamdulillah. And we have started. We have done number of surahs and number of chapters have already completed, and we're hoping that when you go into our website rohingyaquran.com, you will see a number of things there in terms of progress and in terms of how many chapters we have been supported by, and also most importantly, how will it look and feel the Quran. So the idea is to have a writing format and also print it out and distribute throughout the world wherever Rohingya lives, from Bangladesh to Malaysia to Thailand to some part of the West,
Okay.
and so on and so forth.
Mohammed Noor, for the listeners, can you just explain, because Rohingya is not a well known written script, what are the challenges of actually, and what a huge accomplishment it is to actually have these video and audio recordings of the Quran? And maybe tell them also what the response has been to this from the Rohingya community.
Right, right. So, in terms of the Quran writing script, so before we go to writing, so the Rohingya language itself is one of the mature language in Southeast in our region, which has a lot of vocabulary, heavy in many in all of this work and poetry and so on and so forth. But in the written form, the Rohingya writing system has changed as different people came to Arakan, which was from Farsi to Urdu to Arabic and so on and so forth. But recently, in late 60s and 70s, early 70s, a writing system has emerged, which is now commonly known as Hanifi script, but which is a Rohingya script done by a number of scholars. One of them was Maulavi Hanif. So that script has, Alhamdulillah, has developed into. So in terms of vocabulary and language, it's good and perfect in many ways, but in terms of writing system, there are some sort of how do we translate it, and how do we pronunciate it, and most importantly, how do we spell it, that kind of challenges. But Alhamdulillah, those challenges has almost eliminated. Now things are in a very certain and stable situation where we are writing, and this writing system has emerged since 70s, and now till today, the writing system has been accepted globally by not only Rohingya community but also by all the tech communities. Like it has been unicoded already in 2000. We have started unicoding 2012 and
Mhm.
accepted in 2017, and now it can be read and written in iOS, in laptops and phones and many others.
Oh,
So Alhamdulillah, it has got many momentum along with people's response as well.
okay. And how is the community taking this wonderful project?
Yes, Alhamdulillah. So when it comes to Quran, so we have a number of testimonies that we have posted on our website as
Mhm.
well, which is from the ground, from especially from Bangladesh and from Malaysia, from Saudi Arabia. So those even Hafiz al Quran who memorize the Quran, so they
Mhm.
feel so satisfied saying that all this while I memorize this, but I have no knowledge of what it's saying. But now listening in our language, that opens our heart. So we call this, it's a connecting heart project to Allah.
Wonderful.
So last 1400 years, Rohingya are not been able to hear the word of Allah in their own mother tongue, and now that has been unlocked.
How amazing. What I wanted to also ask you is, as a Rohingya, in this month of Ramadan, completing this project, what is your message to the world?
Yeah, so first of all, as a Muslim, and the last 10 days, the Barakah days, which is an amazing, and Quran has actually brought down on, came as a rahmah through the last messenger of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is the month of Quran. This is the month of blessing, and this is the month of sharing the blessing. So our message from the Rohingya Quran team is, do support us in this project and also spread the word of love. And then most importantly, during this time, as a Rohingya community, we have actually done a number of things to also support other Muslims, such as our brothers in Palestine. So we have done a lot of awareness campaign, also raised fund from the Rohingya community and sent in Gaza. And I request all other Muslims, and along with Rohingya community, to support people in Gaza, to support people in Syria and Yemen and Kashmir and many other Muslims. So it is the time to show our brotherhood, and it is the time for us to unite together, being Muslim, being Rohingya, and being, taking responsibility for ourselves as
What a
well.
wonderful message. Mohammed Noor, the last thing I need to ask you is where can the listeners find the Rohingya Quran if they want to have a look themselves and if they want to see the testimonies?
Definitely. So the first thing you can follow is rohingyaquran.com. That is our domain or a
Okay.
website. So from there, we have Facebook account as well. We have a YouTube account also naming Rohingya Quran. You can follow, and you can also reach us at info@Quran, rohingyaquran.com, or visit our website, rohingyaquran.com. Simple
Thank you
as that.
so much. Thank you so much. We wish you and your team all the best in these final days of Ramadan. And we, keep up this amazing work that you're doing. And we look forward to hearing a lot more about your projects in the future. Assalamu alaikum.
Amsalam. Jazakallah. Thank you very much for sharing the message and inviting me here. Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum. Okay, listeners, we're going to try to get that message from the camp played right now. So let's listen to Muhammad Jamal. Hopefully, this works this time.
Donate your zakat or lila and ease the pangs of hunger experienced by thousands of widows, orphans, and destitute Muslims globally. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. The Big Five, or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042 203 1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Are you looking for a cross-border road transport company that is committed in achieving high safety standards, who is fast and efficient, and also excel in customer service? Gardi Global specializes in cross-border transport from South Africa to Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Zambia, and Malawi. Gardi Global, situated at 10 Daniel Road, Ben Rose, Johannesburg. For enquiries, contact our trained staff on 011 614 3108 or email info@gardiglobal.co.za. Safe long haul into Africa is our business. Gardi Global Transport.
This Ramadan, spread the love with Sunshine D margarine, the perfect addition to your seri table for spreading, baking, and cooking. Sunshine D is rich in essential vitamin A, E, and D, and is the tastiest way to get their day or night started. Sunshine D. Tastes nice, no lies.
In the Eastern Cape, a single mother and her 3 daughters face a week without food. Last year, 15,000 children were hospitalized for severe malnutrition. With a 60% unemployment rate, the crisis deepens. But you can light the way. This Ramadan, your support can turn despair into hope. The Al Fida Foundation is on the ground providing vital aid. Join us in the fight against hunger and use your zakat to feed Muslim families in Gqeberha and rural Eastern Cape. Send us an email at alfida@telkomsa.net or contact us at 041 484 1288 for Section 18A tax certificates or enquiries. The Al Fida Foundation, together turning compassion.
And by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Emergivac Sharia.
Wait, back to the start.
Or access to private ambulance evacuation, 24-hour armed response services, roadside, home, and even appliance assistance services. Simply download the Emergivac app and register online or SMS Sharia to 40777. Emergivac Sharia, for when serious emergencies require seriously fast response.
Salam Media, your spiritual companion this
I'm Jamal. I live in Kutupalong camp in Bangladesh. I have a statement how are the Rohingya spending this month of Ramadan. Ramadan is a holy month. Most people prepare for this holy month of Ramadan sometimes in advance. There are some organizations that provide a small amounts of food. Some spend Ramadan money like this and eat together throughout the month. There are also people who find it difficult to get daily food. They don't get any food from anywhere in this Ramadan. There is no one to stand by them, but they get some amount of food. The entire Ramadan is spent with this. They spend the month of Ramadan is sadness. Everyone is busy worshipping Allah. At the end of the day, the fast is broken again with a small amount of food. But don't eat any good food or fruit or food to break the fast. Price increase in the market doesn't support buyer, and there are some people who break the fast by drinking only water because they have no food to break their fast. This is how they spend their days. On the other hand, children are also happy on the ocean of it. With this happiness comes many sorrows, and there are many parents who buy good clothes for their children because they have wealthy and money. There are many children who cannot buy good clothes due to lack of money. Due clothes, due due to this, there are many children who indulge in various activities or vice. Their parents can no longer provide everything just for money, so he is forced to indulge in bad dates. There are many parents who work day and night just to earn money for their children. By good thing for their children to keep the children happy after that, and at the end of the day they are happy. He is happy with what he gets after seeing the pain of his parent.
That was the voice of Muhammad Jamal, a Rohingya photographer from Kutub Pelang, speaking about Ramadan in the camp. So, listeners, just to remind you, you're on a very special Ramadan program, and we're speaking to Rohingya voices across the world today. And right now, we're going to be speaking to Dr. Ambia, who is coming to us from Germany. She is the chairperson of the European Rohingya Council and the head of the Rohingya Medics Association. And she's also a pediatrician, she's a psychiatrist, and we're now welcoming her to our special Ramadan programming. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Ambia. Welcome to the show.
Oh, hi. I thought I could not follow up. Actually, okay, I cannot be on the camera because due to my certain stances.
We're totally okay with that. We're on live and we're happy to listen to you. So
Okay.
go ahead. No
Assalamu
problem.
alaikum. Thank you so much. I have been a part of this program, I think, for the last 3 to 4 years. I really appreciate South Africa. I really appreciate Salam Media, and I really appreciate Shabnam for your continuous voices for our community, especially for the Rohingyas. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us today on this special Ramadan programming. And let's start with a quick update about the camps in Bangladesh, because you recently had visited.
Yes. I would like to be especially would like to say always positive, but after visiting the camp every year, and with the deterioration of the situation, the hopelessness in the community living over there, and the miseries that our people are still paying for the last 7 years due to the unclear vision of Bangladesh and the failure of the international community. So with the current situation, what happened is right now, there is our people are being abused verbally and even physically by the host communities. And there are aid workers and the humanitarian organizations fail to properly listen what our people have to say. They often show cautiousness, and this makes our people even more hopeless and vulnerable. There are naturally and man-made disasters have been common phenomena, and our people are suffering, and there are increments of the diseases, and also what do you say? There is a medical lack of or inadequate medical assistance, which lead people on the ground to unprecedented death, and the Rohingya volunteers frequently encountering have very how you say tyrant behaviors and have backlash challenges on the ground. And the refugees who are the refugees who are leading organizations are always have lack of attention, and they're the ones who are really shaping up the society. And there is a huge concern of the security measures in the camps, and that our people are really facing the heinous crimes in the camp.
Okay. And, considering that you've just been there and your expertise in the medical field, can you tell the listeners a little bit about the effect a genocide has on the psyche of an entire people?
Unfortunately, Shabnam, our people are being suffering, not only due to the recently happened what majority of the international community say that the genocide have happened in 2017. Genocide has never happened in 2017. It has happened earlier. The systematic violations and the genocidal tools have been used or occurring in our Rohingya community. Due to that, there are huge impacts and the long ranges of impacts, health impacts, and the consequences on our people. There are medical issues, there are mental issues. With the mental issues, especially the post-traumatic stress disorder, is the long-term consequences on our people. And also there are a lot of chronic diseases on our community due to the lack of or impacts of the genocide on our people. And one must also not forget that the Rohingyas were never they have been deprived from every rights, being a human being, being a minority, being a Muslim. So they have been answering not only in their homeland, but they have been answering and also impacted on the due to being a genocide victims and the survivors. They have been also deprived further in Bangladesh as well.
And Dr. Ambia, as a pediatric specialist, earlier in the year there were a decrease in rations, right? And are you seeing the effects of that on the children in the camps?
Shabnam, there were never ever sufficient diet or enough kilocalories diet or nutrition to the Rohingya people, and especially to the children. And after the decrease of the food rations, it has impacted the whole community, especially the pregnant women, elderly, and especially the most vulnerable, our children. There is a growth retardation is in rise among our children. There is risk of infectious diseases in our community, and also malnutrition is also in the rise, and among our children, and especially also among our pregnant women, there is a high risk of anemia. So if you see it, if you don't get a proper diet, there is a lack of immunity, which will make you prone to every disease, not only the medical issues, but also if your body is not getting enough nutrition, it will also impact on your mental health.
Such a terrible situation. Dr. Ambia, the last question I have for you today, and it's something that we always end up and off with because listeners want to know, what is it that listeners can do as individuals, but what is it also that the international community can do for the Rohingya right now?
There is okay, first thing is that we will always remain grateful to the international community, and as well as to Bangladesh. But despite of we being thanking, and despite of the international support and the Bangladesh support to our people, but the situation of our people, especially in the camps, is deteriorating day by day, as I mentioned earlier. which means there is a lack of clear vision, or there is a lack of clear stance for our people. Whenever anything comes up, our cause or our crisis always been shut down, or there is a lack of solidarity or lack of interest, because due to the political economical interest. But that does not mean that at the end of the day the people have to pay, the human lives have to pay because of the political economical interest. Despite of that thing, we should still keep on fighting. We should try to give hope to these hopeless or vulnerable genocide Rohingya victims and the survivors, especially who are living in Bangladesh, and especially the ones who are left behind in Myanmar. So the international community has to try their utmost best to engage with Myanmar and try to penetrate in Arakan and to find out what is exactly going on, because there is a genocide still going on. We feel there is a lack of stance, and there's a lack of there is no lack of actions to take and to help these Rohingya, especially in Arakan state. Second thing, we must not forget, as I've said earlier also, our people, the people of genocide, or the survivors of, or the victims of genocide, once they came to Bangladesh, they still, deprivation of their basic human rights is still going on. There is no education for our children. So we should emphasize on the absolute need of education for Rohingya children in Bangladesh. This is very, very important. Besides, parallelly, we should also try to speed up the accountability process, and the perpetrators should be accountable, should be punished, and then engage with the Bangladesh government for the, and also with the Myanmar for the repatriation. Repatriation is what we really need. But till the repatriation happens, we have to maintain the mental, medical issues of our Rohingya people. And also, we have to make sure that till the repatriation happens, the resettlement should be considered as well for the vulnerable ones.
Okay.
And the last one, please, one must not forget that the Rohingyas did not leave their motherland. Coming to Bangladesh, fleeing to other countries with dangerous ways, it was not our choice. We had to flee because of the genocide. The last word, make us free, give us the rights also in Bangladesh, in other countries. Because this is, if we get only food and the water like in Bangladesh, there will be a loss of generation. Then the international community has played also a vital role in genocide. Do not make us dependent on the NGOs. Liberate us. Give us the book so that we can write our own story. We can earn our own money by developing our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ambia. We wish you all the best for the rest of Ramadan, and to your organizations, keep up the great work that you are doing, and we hope to speak to you again soon to follow up with your project. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you.
And with that, listeners, we're going to another ad break, and we'll be back with another guest after that.
Mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Emergivac Sharia has delivered. Muslim families in South Africa can now enjoy up to 575,000 Rand emergency medical cover at a private hospital for all in-hospital expenses arising from an accident or illness. Plus, you receive 24-hour access to private ambulance evacuation, 24-hour armed response services, roadside, home, and even appliance assistance services. Simply download the Emergivac app and register online or SMS Sharia to 40777. Emergivac Sharia, for when serious emergencies require seriously fast response.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042 203 1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
In the Eastern Cape, a single mother and her 3 daughters face a week without food. Last year, 15,000 children were hospitalized for severe malnutrition. With a 60% unemployment rate, the crisis deepens. But you can light the way. This Ramadan, your support can turn despair into hope. The Al Fida Foundation is on the ground providing vital aid. Join us in the fight against hunger and use your zakat to feed Muslim families in Gqeberha and rural Eastern Cape. Send us an email at alfida@telkomsa.net or contact us at 041 484 1288 for Section 18A tax certificates or enquiries. The Al Fida Foundation, together turning compassion into action.
Salam Media, your spiritual companion this Ramadan.
Assalamu alaikum. We are back in the studio and we're going to go now to speak to Jaivet Ealom, who is an author, the author of Escape from Manus. His memoir is The Only Person to Escape Australian Offshore Detention. Did really well. He even has a TED Talk, and recently he's been appointed as a member of the advisory board at the Ministry of Human Rights in the National Unity Government of Myanmar. And today we're very lucky to have him joining us on air. So, Assalamu alaikum, Jaivet. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. We know it's pretty early for you, so thank you for waking up and joining us. And just to get started, can you tell the listeners exactly what the NUG is and a little bit more about it?
Sure thing. So NUG, often abbreviated as NUG, also the long term is the National Unity Government. Before I actually goes into explaining what the NUG, I think there's misconceptions of oftentimes being called NUG as an exiles or shadow government. So I think I can add a little bit of clarity to that too. So the long term, the National Unity Government, it is formed by former elected officials inside the Myanmar when they were out after in the 2021 coup d'etat, were formed a parallel governments as the legitimate governments in Myanmar to tackle the situations immediately after the coup, and that has since then been expanded, become more comprehensive and more structured and more established in a way. Today it controls and help probably more apparatus of the government's mechanism inside Myanmar than the coup.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that. And your new role in this structure, what is it, and what are your main objectives for your role?
Well, my role is specifically focused on within the Ministry of Human Rights to make to observe and to make the informed decisions on the Rohingya issues. So my role specifically is to make any decisions that affect the Rohingya lives within the ministry and by extension within the government. Inform, and it has the Rohingyas' views reflected to some extent in any of this in any of the decision making for that affect that has impact on Rohingyas' life.
And how does the inclusion of Rohingya in a post-coup Myanmar look to you?
Well, the inclusion, I think this is not the first time. A government's like trying to either exclude or include the Rohingyas in the government in the history of Myanmar. There has been many times, but most of the times I think they were being included on the face value of it rather than included on the on the face value in a way that is not codified. And I think in the post-coup Myanmar, if we were to get the inclusion has to be structured in a codified manner where then after the inclusions, that door behind is being shut and sealed, and it is being codified in either constitutions in other governing documents where this repeating the vicious cycles couldn't take place again ever.
And can you tell us about the constitution of this new Rohingya Consultative Council? That's well, it seems to be a new structure. Is there anything you can share with us about it?
Sure, I can share a few things, and before I share a few things, I wanted to say it's often being. I'm not sure why this was not picked up, but it is often picked up as the consultative councils yet, but it is merely a convening committee to form the consultative councils in the upcoming months. So that's one clarification, and a few things that I can share is it's an attempt to have this unified platform, like with a few specific area of mandate to focus on. But it's no secret that many attempts in the past has been made for a unified platform like this with varying degree of success. Both sometimes external facilitators and sometimes the Rohingya themselves as well.
Interesting. Is it? Please go ahead.
No, sometimes like there have been when the Rohingya themselves, where the attempts in the Rohingya themselves try to organize, and we had some success where being decades of different differentisements and defragmentations it's a process like fragmentations as well. So it takes some time, and sometimes that the success were limited and didn't reach the potentials to go to because of that as well. And when there were external facilitator trying to also help form this, I think it's often the nature of this external facilitator, oftentimes NGOs like started picking low-hanging fruits and naturally try to fit a line like some of this into the bigger agenda or larger pictures of them. So that the combining the two raises again its own challenges of this. What should be the ideal way of going forward? But there is no. It's hard that like there is no memo on this. There's no manual on this. This is like a lot of people are learning as they go. Mistakes were made, success were achieved, and I think the other elements that is probably a little bit more different on this attempt is it's a little bit more bottom up rather than top down, and it is by nature it is a consultative body. So when the actual councils come into place, I think majority of the work will be bottom up consultation process, how that the ground is being fed to the top rather than the other way around.
Okay. And if we may, or if you can indulge me, for the last question, you wrote a lot in your book about those who assisted you, and I just wanted to ask a question about your personal story, if it's okay. But you wrote a lot about people, how people view refugees, and also about, how it was kindness of strangers that made the biggest difference. So, not in your professional capacity, but as the only person to have escaped offshore detention, and you have such an amazing story that you've written. Can you tell the listeners in terms of, how they could view or refugees, or how they could assist refugees, and which little actions would be so meaningful in the long run?
Sure. I can share 2 cents on my experience and how the larger populations, I call them like normal people, because that they, most of them probably didn't go through detentions or didn't go through the prisons. During my journey, it's oftentimes this strange stranger that didn't know me or my story at all took the chance. A stranger to me, to them, I am a stranger to them, and they're a stranger to me. Yet, took the chance to help me without actually knowing what the payoff will be, without any expectation. And that changed the trajectory of my journey. And I think I would say confidently, when someone is feeling overwhelmed, this is huge, big system, this big mechanism that I alone cannot make a difference. I think that's oftentimes discounted the fact that individual action, a small act of kindness do add up and can actually free one person, can actually change the trajectory of one person's life. And the most important part is that a small action of one's could be the tipping point of the wave, could be the determining factor of if one make it, leave it, or one didn't make it. And I think that's the most beautiful part of like not knowing how much, not having an expectations of what the payoff will be, yet it will free another person, it will change the trajectory of another person. I think that's the best way as an individual, as a private citizen, to change a system that's too big to change, by one thing at a time, a small act of kindness at a time.
How wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Listeners, that was Jaivet Ealom. He is the author of Escape from Madness, and I highly recommend that you go out and buy the book. It's a very important read. Jaivet, thank you, and we wish you all the best in your new role, and we wish you all the best for these final days of Ramadan. Thank you so much for joining us. With that, listeners, we're going to be going to another ad break.
রমজানের মাঝে আসছে আর বনি মেহমান যে রমজানত নাজেল গজ্জে আল্লাহ কোরআন বাইয়ান আল্লাহ কোরআন রমজানের মাঝে আসছে আর বনি মেহমান যে রমজানত নাজেল গজ্জে আল্লাহ কোরআন বাইয়ান আল্লাহ কোরআন अल्लाह पाक हबीबर मेरा शरीफ अड्डाई रोजारे फरस गोरिला निजार उम्मतल्लाई अल्लाह पाक हबीबर मेरा शरीफ अड्डाई रोजारे फरस गोरिला निजार उम्मतल्लाई যে রোজা বনিব একদিন হাশরের সামান যে রমজানত নাজল গজ্জে আল্লাহ কোরআন বাইয়ান আল্লাহ কোরআন রমজানের মাঝে আসে আর বনি মেহমান যে রমজানত নাজল গজ্জে আল্লাহ কোরআন বাইয়ান আল্লাহ কোরআন যে রোজারে আরারু ফরদিয়ে ফরজ গরি আল্লাহ নিজের হাতরে নাম ফাইম যদি রোজা রাখি যে রোজারে আরারু ফরদিয়ে ফরজ গরি আল্লাহ নিজের হাতরে নাম ফাইম যদি রোজা রাখি যে রোজাদারের ইন্তজারত রয়ে হুরে গেলিমা.
Listeners, welcome to this very special Ramadan Rohingya program. It's an annual one, and we had wonderful lineup and continue to have a wonderful lineup of Rohingya voices from across the world. Right now, I'd like to welcome Lwin to the show. He's no stranger to Salam Media and probably one of the most well-known Rohingya faces. He's also the co-founder of the Free Rohingya Coalition. Naysan, welcome to the show. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm really sorry, I cannot on the video as I am at the airport right now with my colleague and the brother, Dr. Manzani. So I'm really sorry for that.
We
So please
totally
go ahead.
accept it. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. Thank you for joining us under the circumstances. I just wanted to get right into it. Can you give us an update about the war Myanmar military is continuing to unleash on the citizens of Myanmar? Because just this morning, it seems that the ethnic armed organizations had more wins.
Yes, since the military seized the power in the early 2021 across the country, all the ethnic armed group, now we call them ethnic resistance organization EROs, they are fighting against this military. The military is losing the ground, and this all ethnic resistance organization and also the people defense forces created by the national unity government, they are controlling at least half of the territory across the wall, across the country, and the weakness from the opposition side is they don't have the air force, they don't have the larger weapon, and also the thing is there is no support from any country for this armed resistance. Yeah, of course, that the Western country are supporting the sanction and some other humanitarian aid, but they are not supporting anything for the armed resistance, unlike the Ukraine situation. So these people, all the people, they are struggling themselves to fight against the military. Of course, the military is still, since they are the strongest institution in the country, and they have the armed power, and also the Russia and the China and also India, sometimes Singapore, they are selling their arm. So they are powerful, So fighting against this powerful is not really easy. So let me talk a little bit about the Rohingya situation in Arakan or the Rakhine State. There have been the fighting ongoing against the military since the last November, but it has began. It began since the late 2018, but on and off. Sometimes they got the temporary ceasefire, sometime an official ceasefire. But now, since the last November, there had been intense fighting, and as a result of this fighting, around 100 Rohingya were killed while they are fighting each other, and more than 150 were injured. Those happened because the Arakan army, most of the time, they came inside the Rohingya village. Whenever they came inside the Rohingya village, military responded indiscriminately. That is the reason, we have got a lot of casualty. And also another one thing is since the military is losing the ground, now they have enforced this conscription law. Now the Rohingya became the first target. At least 1,200 to 1,300 Rohingya youth have been forcibly recruited by the military, and some of them were already used in the battlefield, and at least 60 or 70 Rohingya youth were killed in the battlefield. This is the brief situation. I think you have a lot of questions. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, you know, considering what the ethnic armed organizations are doing and how everyone is against the military, and now there is this new ban on jet fuel and surveillance goods, how much longer can the military actually hold this?
Well, I have mentioned you earlier that the military has this air force power, and on the ground they are losing the ground. and they can defeat this ethnic armed resistant organization. They are very much strong. They are morally very much stronger than the soldier from the Myanmar military. So those Myanmar military soldiers are demoralized. Sometimes, they fled to Bangladesh. Sometimes they fled to India. Sometimes they fled to Thailand. So with this, we can imagine, how, the military structure or the system has been collapsed. So in this time, at this time, they have only, one big achievement from their military side, that is the Air Force. So these jets are, flying over the country, across the country, and bombing the area where the civilian area. All the time they are, bombing. So most of the time the casualty are from the civilian, and even the small children, elderly, they don't spare. So this jet are flying because they have the fuel. So we can stop, that those sailing, jet sailing, and all the weapon selling, but we still can stop, jet fuel selling. So like a few months ago, I think years ago, UK banned two companies. While the Canada banned the export of the jet fuel to Myanmar. But we need this, from all the country, not just, targeting the company. Targeting company mean you ban these two company, then mean, you are going to allow another new company. So we need the total ban of the jet fuel. That means, they will not have the jet fuel. If they don't have the jet fuel, they cannot fly across the country and kill the civilian or the children or the elderly, or even the women. That will really save the human life, and also this will give the a chance for this resistance movement. If the resistance, if they don't have, if the jet cannot fly, I'm sure, that the ethnic group, the ethnic armed resistance, that they will win.
Naysan, how do you feel about the new special envoy who is going to be going to Myanmar, who was just called this week?
Well, we had also a special envoy before, after the coup, and there was nothing progress, although she has tried her best. She traveled to Myanmar, she met with the NUG and also the all other stakeholders, civil society, but still nothing changed. She has done a lot. I appreciate, and also the new envoy, the former for foreign minister of Australia. She will. I believe, she will try her best, but still, the problem is the military has no will to change the situation. The military always want to hold the power. This is not the first time. This is the third time coup in Myanmar since 1962. Since 1962, only 5 years in the past, that the civilian government led by the Aung San Suu Kyi ruled the country. That also they share the power with the military. So we didn't have the let's say purely authentic, the civilian government in the country that with the whole power. So this country is basically ruling by the military. So military is not going to give up the power. So if the military has the intention to collaborate with international community and also all the stakeholder in the country, that will be the change. You can have the special envoy from the UN, OIC, and many other entities, or from each country one, but still there will not be change unless that there is serious action against the military, serious intervention. Then this situation will change. By the politically alone will not change. That means the armed resistance should get the serious support. Then the situation will change.
Nathan, I just have two more questions for you. If we can go back into Rakhine State, right?
Yeah.
The first one is people are asking, well, the Rohingya fled before. Why don't they just leave this time again because of the fighting that's happening around their villages? What would your answer be to this?
These people, Rohingya have been fleeing to Bangladesh since 1978. In 1978 there was also a massive violence against them and massive exodus. So those people were returned to their homeland a few months later, and 10,000 die due to the malnutrition and due to the food shortage. Of course, again, this happened in 1991 and 1992. So still, those people, from 1991, 1992, they are still in the camp. Some of them only repatriated a few years later in 1994 or 1995. Again, in 2016, 2017, we now have more than a billion. These people, let's say, average, they are more than 6 years now. So the repatriation is uncertain. So fleeing to Bangladesh means you lost your homeland and your land, everything. So these people, those remaining inside the country, about the 600,000, they are very cautious. If they flee to Bangladesh, there will be no way to come back to the homeland immediately. Of course, that repatriation will happen, but we don't know when this will happen. And also, if this happens, we don't know, when our turn will come, because they are saying 150, 200. We don't really know. This is actually the military has no plan to take back the Rohingya. Whatever they are showing is just show off, to please those mediating the repatriation. That is the reason these people are not fleeing. If they face, the serious threat or the serious, the bombing, anything, they fled from village and they take the shelter in another village. This way, they have been managing, like in Palestinian, from the north to the south.
Of course.
But those Palestinians never try to get back their homeland, and never try to live to the Sinai, which Israel has been trying. So the same strategy now adopted by the Rohingya, thanks to the Palestinians. They are very much stronger than us.
Naisan, what would you like to say to the international community on this special Ramadan program?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Sure. What is your message to the international community and to South Africa? What is it that we can do for the Rohingya outside Myanmar, for those inside Myanmar? Give us something to do.
Well, if we want the serious action, we need to reform the UN Security Council. That is the most important, because all the action can come from the Security Council, but it is not happening because of the permanent member veto. So this veto system should be abolished. For that, all the country need to advocate and need to fight. So once this veto system is abolished, there will be the serious action, not just for the, for the Rohingya, but also across the world. There are the many oppressed minority, including the Palestinians. All this problem should be settled immediately. But this the things is because of this veto power, things are still continuing. The people suffering are continuing. So I just want to ask all the country and all the global citizens to push their respective government to fight at the UN to abolish this voting the veto system. Yeah.
Naisan, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. We wish you and your family all the best for these final days of Ramadan, and we look forward to catching up with you again in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shabnam. You are really amazing. You have been helping us a lot and also hosting this event every year. Special thanks to you and dua for you and also for the Salam Media. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much. Walaikum salam. And listeners, with that, we want to thank you for joining us on this annual very special Ramadan Rohingya broadcast. Thank you to Zahra, who is live tweeting for us, and Sadiq and Ponti in the studio. If you want to support local that are working on the Rohingya, we tend to support Colors of Hope. They're a small organization with a very big heart, and they continue to run the Rice for Rohingya and the Rohingya Iftar project. Also, thank you to our brilliant lineup of guests today for making themselves available. Ramadan is such a busy time, so we're very thankful. And this is me, Shabnam Mayet, on behalf of Protect the Rohingya, signing off from this special Ramadan broadcast. And we wish you and your family all the best for the rest of Ramadan and for Eid. Assalamu alaikum.